With those terms that you have identified already, those will be the terms that you will input in the search engine. If, for example, you're going to use the electronic database, or if you're going to go in the academic libraries or college libraries. Ang pinaka-importante, you have to identify the terms. For example, strategy. In teaching mathematics, what are the key terms? Number one, strategy. Number two, mathematics. Lahi-lahi na sila og concept. Therefore, those are the terms that you are going to browse in the internet. Next is, you post a short research question you would like to be answered. For example, you can search in the search engine, what is the question na you want to be answered in your problem, or you can use words that authors report in the literature. For example, you have identified literatures, you have found literatures already, and you want it to be elaborated. So you get the term and then you search again. So parang cyclical lang, di ba? Another is, once you get the term, you can visit online databases. For example, the eric.ed.gov, or you can go to the bookshelves in your college library. Because we do not know, you can find great studies, great literatures on your college libraries. Now, once you have identified the terms already, you can now begin to search for relevant literature. You might be tempted to begin your search by accessing the internet and exploring electronic literature available on the topic. Admit it, ladies and gents. Once you have identified the terms, you will write in the internet a strategy. Click, 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 click. Although this process is convenient, please bear in mind that not all literature posted on the internet is dependable. Sometimes individuals post articles that have not passed through standards of external reviews. But you might also use electronic databases, but rest assured that these are published with using online libraries like online journals, not just blogs, Wikipedia. That's what I am referring. So the question is it okay to browse in the internet for your literature review? Yes, very okay because it's very convenient. But please know that how credible are your resources. That's the idea that you have to keep in mind. So, with the use of this framework, you might begin your search at the bottom, the base of the triangle, by consulting summaries of research that synthesize numerous studies of a topic. So, these are secondary resources. And from these broad summaries, you can work your way up to books, journal articles, index publications, and up to early stage material. As you can observe the triangle, as we go down to the base, the quality becomes higher. But as we go up to the peak of the triangle, there you have to determine the standards of its quality. So what is my point? When you write a literature review, you need to have strong foundation of literature. That is why it is suggested and it is highly recommended that when you write a literature, you get from research reviews, abstracts, those literature that is already established or that was established already according to its credibility. It is already verified. It undergone revisions. It passed the DOI before it has been uploaded in the internet. You have to really look for credible resources when you locate your literature. Okay? So, after locating, diba? You have now identified the terms. You have now known where to locate your literature. It is now the time where you have to critically evaluate and select the literature. Number one is, of course, as we rely on journal articles published in national journals, di ba sa kadami-dami na ng literature na maaari nating makuha, sa kadaghan, I will repeat myself, you really have to determine its credibility. If is it a good source or is it not a good source? And number two is whether the source is of high quality and is a very beautiful literature. You must ask the question, is it relevant to my study? Because we may be flooded with a lot of beautiful literatures, we keep on downloading, we keep on filing. But the question is that study aligned to your study? So you really have to pick, you really have to select the best and relevant literatures that would support your study. Because even if how beautiful that literature is, as long as it's not relevant to your study, that is just a waste of time, energy, effort, because you have read that one, you have summarized that one, you have paraphrased that one, and then it's not relevant at all. So, ang time na gigamit nimo ana, you can spend it on a relevant literature. Okay? So, now, once you have now located the key terms, located the literature, evaluated and selected the best literature or the relevant literatures, it is now the time to organize the literature. Of course, once you had a lot of downloaded literatures, we are overwhelmed. Ay, daghan na kay kog literature. Yes, I already browsed. I got a copy, hundreds of it. The question now will arise. How will you organize it? Nagsugod na pod ang kundinar. Yes, daghan na kog literature, but where should I start? Overwhelmed kay ko, but I don't know how to start. Well, when you organize the literature, you have to reproduce, or you download, or you file. Next is, you have to read those downloaded literatures. Dili lang tataman magbasa sa title, ako ni good ni siya nga literature. That is now the time that you have to take notes and read the abstract, the results, the methods, and you have to highlight. Especially, what I mean when you have to highlight. You have to highlight the topics central in this study. You have to isolate topics from topics. When you do it in your folder, you have to separate this folder about strategy away from the topics about mathematics. So when the time that you are now going to write your literature review, easy na lang siya. Ay, ganito na akong gibutang. Oy, tama. Dito aday sa folder sa strategy because I want strategy. I want to talk about strategy. So I will go back to the folder about strategy. And I will read my notes about strategy, which is supporting, which is confirming asa diri, or which is disconfirming, which is disagreeing. That's how we do it. Okay? And syempre, the best way to organize your literature is by doing a literature map. So this is an example of a literature map. This literature map, as you can see, is in hierarchical design. For example, The main topic is the need for teaching programs to be culturally responsive. We have two ways to write or to narrow down our literature. We can attack it by starting from study abroad from programs. What are the programs in teaching to be culturally responsive? So, what are the studies found abroad that would support this main idea? And once you have found this, you will narrow down. Okay? As you narrow down, you'll have another literature, a more detailed literature. And that is in the study abroad programs. Once you are done discussing, once you are done note taking of the studies abroad about this specific topic, you can now look in to the studies within your own. This study is from Creswell Mangod, and this is US published. So the context is it's the study is conducted in US. So for example, it's already done in abroad ng mga study. You have already noted it. This is now the time that you are going to look on the local context. So what are the programs related to this topic within the US? So you will write your literature concept by concept, hierarchical, from study abroad to the US and to your own context. Uh, this is another way to do this literature map. Some literature started, or the approach is this: you look for the literatures international, and after identifying the relevant literatures from international, you look for literatures on national base. If there exist literatures in national based, after that, you narrow down again if there is already in your in the province, in the local, if it's existing already, and then you can get to the base, like if you could have primary resources. So you can write that way in your literature map. Or you can have this one, a circular design. You can you will write in a circle what are the study abroad programs. You organize it. Okay, these are the study abroad programs. Okay, I grouped it. And then this is the US programs. These are the studies about US programs. So I will also group it. So that's how you organize your literature. So that when you are going to write your literature, dali na lang. Why is it important to organize the literature? Because if you will not organize your literature, ang thought sa imong literature review, mag-ambak-ambak ka. For example, you have mentioned about studies abroad. Yes, you have detailed discussed it. And then you will jump in within your country. Okay, naano ko sa akong country, nag-discuss na ko, nibalik na pug ko sa abroad nga study. Kung ako reader, ana, where akong nag-ambak from one place to another, I could not see the coherence. Dili na ko masubaybay unsa ka importante unsa gid ang kalahian sa abroad nga programs ug sa mga programs within the country. So dapat when you write your literature review, bisag kamo mismo nga mga writers, dili pud mo mag-ambak-ambak. Kay ang magbasa pud ana, mag-ambak-ambak pud sila. Okay? Di ba we do not want to read the outputs of our students nga nagtuwad baliskad. That is also how we should write our literature review. Dapat dili pud tuwad baliskad. Okay? So, after organizing the literature, this is now the time that we're going to write the literature review. The use of style manual. Later, I will share to you the style manuals, but there are types in writing a literature review. Number one is you can write with the use of a thematic review, wherein the themes of your study or the themes of the literature are arranged accordingly. You put, for example, about Gaina na study abroad programs. Yes, all about study abroad programs. And then you write again local programs. That's thematic. Or else, let's go to strategies in teaching mathematics. Okay? First, I could write this part in the literature all about the strategies in teaching mathematics. But the next theme would be integrated with problems in implementing these strategies in mathematics. From the strategies to problems. And then after the problems, the innovations to address the problems, the innovative strategies to address the problems. So those are the ways na you can do when you write a literature review. Or you can give a study by study review of the literature, wherein you really have to give a detailed summary of each study grouped in a broad theme. This detailed summary includes the elements of an abstract. You will write the results of the study, the methods of the study, what are the differences with the common topic. So those are the different ways you can either approach it that you will really give the results, the five different results of one topic. So that is a study by study review. As a researcher, as a writer, we have our different ways of writing a literature review, and you can choose which is the most convenient for you. Unless your university is uh, does have the standard of writing a literature review, like the format, like they will really say, nah, you should write your literature review in thematic or in a thematic way, or you can do it in study by study review, or in a chronological order. When I say chronological order, the literatures are arranged according to time. Okay, so you can also do that one. But for me, I would uh, I would suggest that you write your literature review with your most convenient way para ikaw mismo nga magsulat sa literature review, dili ka maglisod. Okay? So, now, let's go to the elements to include in the review of related literatures. First element is you really have to have current understanding related to the proposed study, because the elements of literature review will discuss what is already known in the field, and you have to present a critical analysis of the findings of the previous studies. You have to situate the research proposal in the existing studies and show that the proposed study is of wide interest and concern. In the literature review, ipaila-ila nimo unsa ni kamapuslanon ang imong study. Are there literatures already that have proven that this study is effective? Is it known already? This is the literature review is the means of showing to the readers that this is the grounds of my study. That's why I really want to pursue this one. Another is, in the literature review, you have to look for the gaps. And that gap is the great, what do we call that? It's the great stand where you have to put your rationale why you have to pursue this research, because you saw a gap in a literature. You have to argue that the proposed study will fill in the existing gap in the literature for a review of the previous studies published. For example, let me introduce to you the, what do we call that, content language integrated learning approach. That is my study. my argument in my proposed study is wala pay worksheet or wala pay lesson exemplar in statistics and probability nga akong nakita nga nigamit og content and language integrated learning approach. So I found that gap and I used that gap to build foundation how important my proposed study is. Okay? So when you read literatures, you really have to look at the mga gaps sa literature so you can justify why your study is of very much use. Another is you have to look at the limitations of your literature. For example, the methodology, the conceptualization, the relationships, or you can argue that your study exists entirely new research because I have found no similar literatures like this study na ako ang gusto i-propose. Pwede po na siya. Okay? Now, the position of your paper in the literature. In the position of your paper in the literature, you have to argue how the paper relates to, builds on, or differs from other existing papers published. In ani mo na? In your literature review, daghan kayo tag mga different literatures. It's either this literature will say that this method is effective, but this literature will say na according sa study pud ani niya, it's not effective. You have to give those positions. Wala man pud ta niingon nga ingon ka tama na jud ning nag-agree or mali jud ning nag-disagree. You just have to present the positions of the results of the literature. Inana na siya ka-importante ano, because as you finished your study, kung ikaw mismo mahuman na sa imong study, naa na kay results sa imong study, gamiton manggud nimo na ang imuhang literature sa una nga gi-present, you will say, my study, this study, the result shows that this strategy is effective in teaching mathematics as supported by the literature nga imong decide sa una that will strengthen the result of your study. Okay? Or pwede po kami yun nga the result shows that the strategy is effective. But this result disconfirms the study of sa mga nauna nga study. Pwede po na ninyo siya himuon. That is why it is really important to present valid literatures in your literature review. Okay? Now, number 4. Sa inyong literature review, the theoretical framework of your proposed study should be discussed because you should have that ground why your study is very important according to an established theory. Wabya ng pag magsulat na tag-research, really have to identify what is the most applicable theoretical framework for us to have the variables na pwede nato gamiton, unsang design, unsang interpretation atong gamiton, so we could clearly articulate ngano importante man nga theory among others. We can discuss our theoretical framework in the literature review. Always remember that. Do not limit yourself na isulat lang ninyo ang inyong theoretical framework sa part nga gibutang sa research nga na theoretical framework. Rather, the literature review is a part where you can elaborate how important this study is because you have also established your theoretical framework. And those are the end of my part about the elements and the steps in writing literature review. So this time, I will share to you shortly about citations. Before we started, kabalo man siguro mo anay ka ng according to mga inana. So those are citations. In our citations, we follow a style manual. And this style manual is a structure for citing references, for labeling headings, and constructing tables and figures. In a style manual, this is a consistent format. For example, you are told that your style manual will be APA 6th edition. So all writing format will be according to the APA 6th edition. Kung wala mo kailaon sa mga style manual, well, kanang APA, mo na sila. Kanang madungog ninyo nga APA, Chicago Manual of Style, New Oxford Style Manual, MLA Handbook, AMA Manual of Style, IEEE Editorial Style Manual, Microsoft Writing Style Guide, CSE Manual, and Telebian. But commonly, bisag ka ng with my experience sa akong mga na-try, we usually do the APA citations or APA manual. So this is the most frequent used approaches in the manual of the American Psychological Association, APA 2010. We have the end of text references, within text references, and headings. So unsa din ang end of text references? So these are the references listed at the end of the research report, or the APA double-spaced alphabetical by author. Kanang pag mahuman na ang tanan sa imong study, the last part, mauna na siya ang end of text references. But we also have what we call within text references. So these are the references cited in a brief format within the body of the text to provide credit to authors. Of course, we have to remember that when we write the literature review, what we have read, what we have noted, dili jud nato na siya i-copy ha nga kanang word by word. We all know that that is against the law and that is plagiarism. So to avoid that one, we have to paraphrase, and at the same time, we have to cite clearly from whom do we credit these thoughts, this idea, these resources. So, for example, of the within text references, we have the single reference. Rogers 1994 compared reaction times for athletes and non-athletes in the schools. So, for single reference lang na siya. This is the format. Like Rogers parenthesis year. You do this at the beginning of the sentence. Mostly diri ang mali sa magsulat og citation because nag moopay pag-start sa sentence. They will do Rogers parenthesis Rogers comma 1994. That is wrong if you write it at the beginning of the sentence. Rather, you do that at the last part of the sentence. If you are going to cite the author sa last part, sa format sa imong sentence construction. On the other hand, if you are having or if you will do multiple references, you can separate the authors with the use of semicolon. Like past studies of reaction times, Google, in Annie, within the text naman siya. It's not in the beginning of the sentence already. So, isulod na nimo siya sa parentheses. Showed, or naa siya sa last part, kanina example, entire groups of studies have addressed the difficulty of test taking and reaction times. Google 1984, Happenstance 1985, Lucky 1994, and Smith 1989. If you have multiple references, you really have to cite all of them. If this thought existed not only diri sa 1984, 1995 nga nakita nimo ibutang gid na nimo sila. Another is two authors. So if you have two authors, you will say Correns and Smith, parentheses, 2009 demonstrated. Kung makakita mo anang and nga symbol, usually diha na siya ginabutang in the middle of the paragraph na, in the middle of the text, or at the last part. But if you will cite two authors and you'll give the names at the beginning of the sentence, you will really spell out the and in words and not use a symbol. But if you're going to cite multiple authors within the text, you have to, first time ni mo sila gi-cite, you have to name them all. For example, the difficulty of test taking and the reaction times has been examined by Smith, Parali, John, and Langor, 1994. Yan, first time citation. But if you are going to cite them again at the next citation or its subsequent citation in the same paper, you have to say Smith et al. Okay? Kay, you don't have to name them again because that will consume your paper. So once you have mentioned all of them once, it's not necessary for it to be mentioned again, like name by name. Okay? I hope you all get that one. And okay. So these are the happy helpers that I can give you if you are going to browse an electronic database. So we have Mendeley, we have Science Direct, Scimago, LibGen, ResearchGate, LinkedIn, Google Scholar, and Academia. These are the electronic databases which was established already. You can download here research articles, journal articles, and uh, many more. So you have to explore this one. And before I end, it's not yet the end, ha, because I'll give you a few tutorial to how to do it when you're writing in a Word. So, but when in doubt, cite it before you write it. Okay? But I'm not yet done because these are my references. I will share to you how to write a literature review pag naana siya sa, what do we call that? Naana mo sa Word para dali siya. Okay? So, for example, sandali lang po. Okay. Okay. So, for example, let's skip that one. You are trying to write, you are trying to cite literature. You will say, according to, wait lang. You can, if you have your laptops there, you can work with me. So, para dili na mo maglisod sa inyong references pohon, if you will write your literature this way, you will organize it this way. So, for example, you'll say, according to, okay, so according to, we're going to cite, diba? You will see this insert button, and then, references, and you will insert citation. Okay, assuming that the author, I am the author, I will say, Laurencio is my last name, Stella Maris is my first name. The title of my study is Lesson Exemplar in Statistics and Probability. Ano siya nga title, ha, is the title of the literature nga inyong nakuha. For example, it's an article in a journal, example lang ni, that you have downloaded it in PNU Normal Lights. Example lang na siya, ha. Tapos, the year it was published was on 2021. And in a journal, syempre, naana siya page number. So you could write 60 to 63. If that is an article in a journal. But if you get it from a book, you can choose here sa taas. Book section, conference proceedings. See, it will change if you will change the type of source. It's a report. If it's a website, you will be tasked to give the name of the website, the URL, the month, and the date it's published, the art, sound recording, performance, patent, case, miscellaneous. Okay? So, for example, balik ta sa article in a journal. And I will click OK. Okay. So, in ani ang nigawas. Oh, wait lang. There's an error. Wait lang ha. Edit source. Laurentius Telemaris, journal name. According to, for example, wait lang. Delete ah. I will delete the citation kaya na-duplicate ni siya. That's why it's like this. Wait lang ha. Okay, again. For example, insert citation. So you can work with me. Basig na alam mo yung mga nakuha diha nga mga citation sa inyo ha. Sige, nag-start na magsulat og literature review. Pwede niyo i-browse inyong mga na-search karon. $2021, 63. Okay. So, in-ani ang mugawas. You see? Laurencio 2021. Laurencio according to Laurencio 2021, that dot. Okay. Naano mo inana? See? You have input it already in the database sa inyong computer nga naano mo yung nga citation. Why am I teaching you this? Because with the time na gusto na mo download sa inyong references, dili na mo magbalik-balik ug dili na mo mag-manual og sulat sa inyong references. Why? You see this part here. If you would like to repeat the citation, makita ninyo na siya diri sa kilid. And if you would like now to download your references, the complete list of references, you will choose here. Diba? If it's APA, MLA, Harvard, Chicago. So for example, we'll use the APA. And then we would like to get the bibliography. So automatic, mugawas na siya kung asa nimo like the whole package of the reference. Para dili na ka magbalik-balik. So, I will give you another one. For example, this is my study. Okay? Kani siya. This is the database where, for example, kuhaon na nako, I will look at the references nga gusto ko ibalik og site ning akong na-site na gaina. Ko mo adto. Diri sa citations. Diri sa citations, you see this part here. Naa diri ang mga works nga ako nang gi-cite. Okay? So for example, I would like to cite this again. I will just insert this one. See? Automatic na. Dili na ko magbalik-balik. Okay, that's how useful it is. Tapos, see this numbers of citations in here? Once I will click it, the bibliography, APA, tapos bibliography, you will see. See? Automatic, mugawas diha atanan nako gipang cite, gipang butang nga mga references. I will not look back again and again. Hala, basig nawala na to akong literature because it's the common mistake when you write a literature. Hala, nawala na. Wala na dahil ko kabalo. Hala ko ni nakita nga theory. Hala ko ni nakita nga study because I lost track of the literatures I've had. Okay? But once you have this, you put it in your references, dali lang ang tracking o dili na magkatibulaag ang imuhang references. Okay, I guess that's it. If you have questions, you can ask me, and I will be ready to answer that one. I hope I can help you. And that would be all. Thank you everyone for listening and for your time.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Stella Marie Laurentia, for that valuable insight and for everything that you had imparted to us, ma'am. We've learned so much from you this evening. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so classmates, if you have questions, this moment we will give time and opportunity to everyone to ask questions to our speaker. Okay na ba, Ma'am Stella?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you have questions, just use the button, no? Yeah, just raise your hand so that you can be recognized. Sige? Basta na mo yung mga nalibugan, pwede na ta mag-start sa ato ang question and answer. Or you can use your microphone na lang.
They can
Hello,
they can
classmates.
also use the chat box, ma'am, if they want to.
Yes, you can use the chat box kung okay ra pod sa inyo ha, sa chat box na lang. Kaya ato nang basahon ditong mga questions. I think murag nalibog sila nangutana sila kung sila kuno to nga app kato ang ganiha ma'am murag sa Word naman to siya Ma'am Stella no.
Yes, ma'am. You mean the app that I use?
Oh
Ma'am,
yes
word
ma'am.
lang po sa ma'am.
Sa
Na
Word lang.
you will see at the top part na i-reference diha if you
Oo.
will explore. Yes, ma'am. Word lang gid to siya kung
As
hindi kita sa inyo.
sige. So classmates sa Word lang daw to siya. Sige, any questions pa kay napa pa si ma'am? You can ask questions. You can type your questions in the chat box or you can use your microphone.
Ma'am Irene, basahon na lang
Yes.
na ako ang question ni Ma'am Sandra Laksi.
Sige,
Okay,
sige
next step,
ma'am.
can you help us with somehow techniques on how to see research gaps in published studies or literatures? From Ma'am Sandra Laksi.
Wow. So thank you for the question, ma'am. Okay. So the techniques in finding the research gaps is a challenging one. Guys, syempre, once the study is already published niya ato ang makita, as leaders would really say, wala naman siguro yung pagkukulang ni nga study no, kay na-publish naman nila ni. Diba? But, uh, maybe ma'am, it's been presented earlier po, the limitations in a research paper, there are really limitations. For example, ang imong nakita nga study is the design of the study that you have read is about an experimental study. The methodology is experimental, di ba? So, for an experiments. You can see a gap na, ay, okay, experimental yung gamit. Pero I have never seen a study or an ilang study, dili siya inana ka deep. So, I could use a qualitative study to really get the root of the causes and the experiment, some things like that. So, ma'am, you can use the methodology. You can look for the methodology of your read studies if pwede ba ka diha mosulod, number one. Or the concepts, for example, sa ihang concepts is dito ata sa strategies na kay mo na magay pinaka-common. The strategies, uh, have discussed three strategies na gusto siya makabalo unsa effective, like that. Nakita nimo na silang study. So, pwede nga sa tulo ka strategies, ang isa, himuan gid mo siya per study. Like, dili na kamutap sa tulo ka strategies. Like, one strategy lang ang imong i-apply sa imong research and you will elaborate that one. Pwede na siya, ma'am. Another is the relationships of the variables. pwede man pod nga sa variables nga na-discuss ani nga literature, feeling nimo naa pay kulang, naa pa kay madugang, naa pay factors that would be considered or pwede i-consider pag-abot sa imong study na kani nga study wala niya gi-elaborate, wala niya gi-mention, or wala niya gihatagan og time to discuss. Iyaha lang gi-introduce, pero ah wala siya nila naka-elaborated. So, in your study, pwede na na siya nga, you'd like to add the study of inana kay, yes, nag-exist na nga study, pero walay inani nga variable nga ni-appeal ana nga study. So, you can also use that gap in your literature review. So, inana lang pud ang ako ang maingon, ma'am. I hope I help you with your kanang gusto na techniques. So, thank you po, ma'am, for the question.
Okay, so Ma'am Zandra, okay na ta sa ato ang question, ma'am. Na-answer lang mo siya,
Yes,
ma'am, no?
ma'am. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
So we encourage our classmates to ask questions. Kasi naa pa. Anyone from my classmates, from our guests?
How about ma'am from Mahit? Basig na sila yung mga pangutana.
Oh, okay, Sir
Senator,
Bandoy is raising his hand. Sige, sir.
Um, this is just in relevance with the citation. Would it be better if we could make citations online, just like for example, cite this for me, citation generator? Would it be much faster kaysa ato siyang imano-mano pag-entry sa Word, or would it be against the norm of citing a reference?
Yes, sir, I get the question. Is it against the norm if we'll use like 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 this for me? Mga
Uh-huh.
mga references. Uh, for me, sir, it's not against the norm, kay. Pwede man good, sir, nga. You will use the site this for me if you are not that convenient in using the MS Word na mag-cite, 'di ba? Kay para dili naka maglisod. It's really okay, sir. Bisag ako, I suggest to do that one. Pero it's nice. Pero you have to remember na once you cite it, always remember that you have written it to your kana ganing references. That's my point, sir ba? Ay kung mag-cite this for me pug ka, kanang isa-isahon nimo siya manualon tapos mo balik na pug ka sa text kung asa ka nag-write sa imong literature. Diha lang ang loophole kay it's time consuming food sa sir, diba? Like you have to
Correct.
copy the what it has been accented in the site this for me in your literature na nakuha. Pero sir, it's I do not say do not do that, ha. Naara jud pud na sa writer, naara jud pud na siya sa imuha if asay convenient sa imuha, sir, kay inana if you it's convenient for you to do the site this for me tapos dili ko kahasulan mag-copy-copy, you prefer that one kaysa mag-input ka atong sa manual sa MS Word, okay lang jud pud na siya, sir. So it's not against the norm. It's about the techniques of the writer, how to make things and life easier. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ma'am Claudine Pasyente. Sige, ma'am. Is it really necessary to include local studies in RRL? Because there are some studies like in home economics na wala gyud siya related studies in local kay ang HE more on experiment.
Okay. The question is it really necessary? Ma'am, I would not say that it's really necessary, like it's a must, ha? Pero it will strengthen your argument in your study. Nga, it's already here. Murag, it will strengthen the why this study have to exist also. But the concern is, if the problem, I get the problem, ma'am. Kung mayon mo kung local studies, like, studies lang gid siya nga within the reach ba. Pero not necessarily lang gid na ang local studies, ma'am, within your premise, kanang within your province. Pwede namang good pud nato ma-consider nga local studies pag once within national base na, within the Philippines. So, it is already considered local studies na gid pud na siya, ma'am. So, uh, if none yun, if wala dyan makita, well, we cannot force that one. Pero if naalang man tayo makuha gihapon, kana lang, it will really help the credibility of your study, the strength of your study, kay naaman tayo local. But if it's a must, no ma'am, it's not really 100%, dili mag-exist imong study kung wala kay local RRL. Dili jud ko na siya inana na thought, ma'am. Okay? Natubag
Okay,
man
ma'am.
ako,
Thank
ma'am.
you po.
No,
Yes,
Ma'am
ma'am.
Sudin, okay na,
Uh,
okay na to, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
another question from Sir Jeffrey. Hello, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Nalang ko pangutana, ma'am. I just wanna clarify things. I have gathered sufficient evidence from the literature about the accuracy and validity of the designs or method that I use to that I plan to use in my experiment.
Mhm. Sir, again, you, what is the question, sir?
I have gathered sufficient evidence from the literature about the accuracy and validity of the design or method that I plan to use in my experiment.
Ah, you have written your question here, sir.
Yes,
I
po.
written, sir, ha? Or can you write your question, sir? Kay medyo putol man gud siya sa akong madungog. Basig,
Sir,
Okay.
paki-type na lang ko sa chat box,
yes,
sir.
please, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am Ste, we will entertain muna ang question ni Sir
Yes,
Adam
sir.
Jo. Is there any limit in terms of the numbers of RRL to be used in our research? From Sir Adam Jo Mendez.
Ah, is there any limit in terms of the numbers of RRL? There is no limit, sir. Pero it's better to have varied resources, like daghan jud tag resources. Pero the most ideal number of words in a literature review is maximum of 1,500 if we will refer to the birth, like the DepEd nga suggested, ha. But I didn't know if sa college, depende na siya sa inyong college, if how long does it, uh, how long do they want it, ang imong literature review. Pero if in terms of limit, mo ka nga, 5 lang jud ka literature or 10 lang gid ka literature, wala jud na limit, sir. If for me, kay the mas puno og literature, mas nindot basahon, kay mas daghan kag basis sa imong study. And at the same time, basta ang always remember lang, when we say limit, dito ta sa, if it's a research literature, we have to use the most updated researches. But if it's a conceptual literature, bahalag karaan na kayo na siya, like even 10 years ago, 20 years. If it's conceptual literature, time is not a problem. But if it's a research literature, the suggested one is at least 10 years mangganing ata. So, mo lang ko na siya kung matubag, Sir Adam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Sir Adam, okay na ta,
Okay.
sir, no?
Yes, ma'am. Salamat
Ma'am
kayo.
Irene,
Yes,
isunod
ma'am.
na to ang kay Sir Leo.
Oh, sige, sige, ma'am.
Dali lang, no? Sir Bandoy and Terso are raising their hands. Kay kang Sir Leo Montenegro, how do we know, ma'am, if the published study is kanang recognized sa kanang legit nga publisher?
Ah, yes.
Again,
Sir, kanang,
Ma'am Ste,
yes. Have you tried na mag-download kag mga PDF tapos naagid sila DOI, ISSN, kanang cited nga published gid siya, sir. Cited with many works already. When you browse in the internet, makita nimo na siya, sir, if cited. Wala na ka-citation, tapos naagin na sila DOI, labi na katong sa mga academic libraries jud. So you can see nga inana, sir, like recognized na siya. Kanang niagi na siya og mga pila ka citations. Inaana la, sir, reg dili lang kay nato i-complicate. Reg mo na nga part atong tan-awon, sir.
Okay,
Meaning,
Sir
ma'am, sa
Leo.
gigamit na siya or daghanay ni used sa iya as kuan reference.
Yes, ma'am, or dili man necessary mga daghan nagamit siya nga reference. Ay katong ganing akong gi-present gaina nga na triangle. Katong sa baba is the books, summaries, researches. Makita ninyo to dito, ma'am, at the same time, if it's a book man good, makita mo po na ninyo ihang publication, na magid na date published, kanang ina sa pages sa book. So, pwede po ninyo na siya tan-awon, ma'am, nga mga part.
Ah,
You can
okay.
also go
Sige,
to the
noted.
Google Scholar if it has been cited already. Pwede po na siya, ma'am.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
Sige.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay na ta, Sir
For
Jeffrey, no?
Sir Jeffrey, Ma'am
Na tubag
Irene,
ra ba? Yes, Ma'am Ira.
ang kang Sir Jeffrey ka, wala pa siya. So,
Sige.
akong basahon.
Sige, sige,
Have I
ma'am.
gathered,
Murag
have
do
I
I have
gathered
to gather
sufficient,
siguro na, ma'am?
oh, wala nga,
Do I have to gather?
Suffi- sufficient evidence from the literature about the accuracy and validity of the designs or methods that I plan to use in my experiments.
Ah, okay. I, I guess this is the point, sir, ha? Correct me if I'm wrong. I understand your question as this one. Kanang, do I need a literature to decide for the methods nga akong himuon? Tama ba, sir? If this is the question, if
Yes,
this is
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
okay, sir. Uh, it's not necessary for literatures to be the baseline of the design of your study. When we say the design of your study, you can choose whether it's experimental, developmental, survey, correlational, or descriptive lang siya. You, researcher alone, has the freedom to decide for the design and the method of your study regardless of the literatures na imong makuha, sir. So, kana lang, sir. If you want to know the design for your study, you do not have to base your decision sa literature. But if your plan is an experiment, I'm correct ba, sir? Your plan is to make an experimental research.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that itself, sir, you plan to have an experimental research. Therefore, you are going to design an experimental research design. Ana, sir,
Okay.
that is part of methods na gina siya. Pero, it's okay that you have asked that one, sir. Wala dyan ang problema. So, ana lang, sir. Ayaw lang padikta sa imong literature sa imong gusto as ikaw researcher. Because you have the freedom to do everything in your research. Labi na sa design ng imong gusto. Ana lang, sir. Ako maingon.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Ma'am Stella.
Is there any other
Um,
question? So, Sir Bando is still raising his hand.
Sorry. Um,
Okay, na, sir.
last last
Okay, na,
na
sir.
ni
Sige,
kanang
sir.
na naman good si ma'am. Ma'am na ko'y i-present ha.
Sure.
Is it okay? Can I have the presentation on the platform? Our screen. Okay. Kita na. Nakita na, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am, ano lang po if naba ko i-improve sa akong um, RRL.
Sige
So
daw,
this
sir.
is my
Iscan lang nato.
foreign.
Foreign.
So ang akong sa foreign nako is nag-benchmark ko og 5 years back. Um,
Okay.
nag-benchmark ko 5 years back. Then, kanang ano siya, related gihapon siya sa akong title. However, dili ko confident whether the uh, citation na akong na-acquire is niagi og quality assurance. Is there any possible way that I could enhance my skills in writing RRL?
Ah, you mean, sir, found the you have
Yes,
found the
they
source
are
already,
related, oo.
but
And
you are not
then
sure if how
sure if
credible are those.
yes, if they are in terms of quality assurance.
Okay. Sir, I suggest you kana ganing imong nakolekta, you go to Google Scholar or Mendeley. Makita nimo na siya, sir, if kanang existing ba ni pod nga article sa mga journals jud nga established. Kay basin man gud feeling nimo nakuha lang nimo na siya randomly, but you can verify that one. Pwede ka mo download mo adtog mga online journals tapos same title of the study imong i-upload didto. If makita nimo siya didto nga existing siya ani nga journal, well that's credible already. Pero sir, basta kay you go back sa iyahang PDF, I know that's a PDF manggod. You go back sa PDF, you look at if na mga headings nga journal, unsa siya nga
Mm-mm.
journal, unsa nga year nga published, kinsa ang mga author. That is another way to see if the study is credible pod. Ana lang pod, sir,
Okay.
ang akong maingon. Actually,
Kanang
you're doing good kay kanang you arrange it foreign, local. Pwede po na siyang approach pod, sir, sa imong literature review. Ay, ano
I'd
siya,
like
sir?
also to expound dito sa synthesis na part. Um, can you share some techniques na pwede na mo siya himo na reliable and credible sa pag-present namo sa mong ano? Is it a synthesis ba is it a summation of the studies in local and foreign, or there is a
Okay. Ay, you mean, sir, the synthesis is somehow the conclusion of
of
the literature review? Tama ba, sir?
yes,
Murag hulog ni inana.
mura
Okay.
siya combined ideas in the local and foreign related to your studies.
Anyway, any techniques how to write a synthesis?
Yes.
Uh, is the synthesis, let me ask first, sir, ha? Is the synthesis really a part of the format
Yup,
of,
opo.
okay. If that is the format, well, I could say that the synthesis will, di ba, sir, ningon ka, we have to synthesize, therefore,
Mm-mm,
we can get a broad concept, like a general concept from the foreign, if that's the approach in your writing,
mm-mm,
general concept from the foreign, and general concept in the local. And for example, you have the tuna, so you could say that the foreign and the local gives the same or agrees with each other, or you could say that the local disagrees with the foreign literature. Inana, sir, you can give
So
the
pwede pala siyang there is a disagreement on
as
the
long
exist.
as you could see that there is a disagreement with the results, sir, ha,
Mm-mm,
dili siya nga kanang writer maingon nag-disagree gud ni siya. Basta
okay.
as long as the results will show na dili coherent ang results, okay lang gid po na siya as long as we present the positions of the different literatures.
Okay, thank you po.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Stella. So, na tayo questions. I think murag wala na, no? Classmates? Ma'am Ira?
Okay.
Ma'am, can I add?
Yeah, yes,
Ay,
Ma'am Stel.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Uh, I have sent to Ma'am Ira a handout of how to write a literature. That's from ang Tagnaw, from the research manual of Agusan del Sur, and then you can I will share to you how it looks para may guide kayo. Taas mo po ng time, no? Is it okay?
Okay ra, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so while Ma'am Stella is preparing her presentation, ang atong attendance na classmates na available sa ato ang GC.
Okay. So this is the one I am referring to. The I you could see here steps, techniques, like for example, this is a example of how to write a literature review. So these are the ways you can arrange it, like the current understanding of the topic, providing present situation, issues, elaboration of the issues, the theory, then the limitation, and more specific gap for the position to the proposed study. You can view this, I'll send this to you. And another is, syempre, when you will write a literature review, ma-drown po to sa thought nga perminted ta according to, di ba? Like, wala na yun biya tayo lang hunaan kundi according to lang. So, these are the what do we call that? Kana ganing bridge if you would like to write something para dili pud ka ng previous studies revealed, inana na lang perminti atong maingon, previous research. So here you can see a lot of ways to introduce your literature. In here, current knowledge, reference to single investigation or publication. This will really help you in writing your literature para medyo nindot po siya basahon kay pero dili na lang po siya perminti according to na adiriya, so you can browse this later. Then I will also send to you. I have found this lang man pod, and I'm very much willing to give you a copy of Criswell's. I don't know if you are using this in your kanang graduates, no, in yung reference, but this book is really helpful in writing educational researches. So this is the fourth edition of John Creswell. Inside here are naa steps of the research process, the research design. Pwede ninyo makuha dire if you want a experimental, quantitative or qualitative, makuha ninyo na dire. So I also share this to Ma'am Ira so she can share it to all of you who are willing to read this one because this is very, 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 very kanang malaman nga discussion and very friendly, especially for beginner researchers. I guess that's all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Stella Maris, for that edifying explanation. Salamat kaayo, ma'am. Okay, so this time, I will give the moment to Ma'am Ira for a short activity. Ma'am Ira?
Thank you, Ma'am Irene. I think Ma'am Cosmiano is already preparing the Ma'am, mag-quiz lang sa taon na. Okay, sige. So, Ma'am Ste, pakitulong po if tama yung mga sagot. Then, your answers will be written down in our chat box. Okay, so, kung sino man yung nakatama ng sagot, Gcash will follow. Okay, number one. Refers to the summary of journals, books, articles, and other documents that supports the study. Okay. So, first to
First to
send their,
answer.
yes
First to
ma'am,
send their
pakicheck po sino
answer.
yung nauna. So, our answer is related literature. So, related literature lang po yung sagot or literature review. So, Ma'am Irene,
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
Hello, anak ko ba itong mga classmates diha, ah?
okay, take note
Kaya
kung sino
wala gyud
yung
sila answer.
Naa, ma'am,
Ana,
daghanay.
or ko
Yes,
wala
ma'am.
kakita. Sige, 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 ma'am. Sige, ma'am.
Okay.
Sige, next. Proceed, ma'am. Proceed.
Okay.
Sorry.
Ma'am, ang answer is related literature or literature review lang po. So, hindi po
Okay.
RRL. Okay.
Proceed,
Tama ba,
ma'am.
Ma'am Ste?
Pwede lang gihapon nga ng review of related literature, ma'am, kay kanang
Okay. Sige, sige.
oh,
So,
kasi
Kaya na
accepted
una.
lang ang RRL kasi mas madali siyang i-type kaysa taas ay. Oh, sige, sige. Okay,
Daghan
next,
may
ma'am.
correct, ma'am.
Sige, kaysa may nauna ani, ma'am.
Ma'am, sige, ikaw na pili, ma'am. Bitaw.
RRL. Si Ma'am Chris, Ma'am Concha. Hello, ma'am.
Si Ma'am Concha, ma'am.
Ma'am
Ay, si
Concha.
Ma'am Concha, ma'am.
Ma'am Maria Chris. Ay, di ko kabalo mo pronounce sa name ni ma'am. Basta si Ma'am Concha.
Ma'am Maria Conchal.
Okay.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Congrats,
Okay,
ma'am.
next question, ma'am, ay Riolalyn. Um, this element argues that the proposed study will fill the existing gap in the literature. Okay, answer. This element argues that the proposed study will fill the existing gap in the literature. Okay, citation. Citation. Wa naman nag-move ang ako dire. Citation lang ang answer
Citation. Ang
tanan.
answer, yes, ma'am. Citation ang ilahang most answer, ma'am.
Okay. So, answer is, Ma'am Ste, I am not sure with my answer. Kung natama ba akong pagkakuhaan ni position of your paper. Ma'am Stella.
ma'am, yes, ma'am. The answer is the research gap, ma'am.
Research gap. Okay, sige.
Anybody got the correct answer? Be na ba? Yes, we have ma'am sa man kaning gap sabi the gap in existing literature. Ma'am Jenaline Plaza, ma'am.
Ma'am Mahit.
Ma'am.
Again, research gap. Wait lang ha, tanaw na to kay daghan na kay answer.
But the correct answer first, ma'am. The gap in the existing literature. Pwede lang po siya.
Apoy dira. So, kinsa may mauna ani ma'am?
So, may nag-unag ingon o gap,
The gap
ma'am.
in existing literature.
Yes, ma'am.
Si Ma'am Jenaline Plaza.
Plaza. Oh, yes,
So,
ma'am.
accepted na ni Ma'am Ste, the gap in the existing literature.
Yes, ma'am. Pwede lang na siya, ma'am.
Okay, so our second winner is Ma'am Jenaline Plaza. Sige, ma'am. Proceed, Ma'am Ira. Next question.
Okay. Ma'am, napatay question, Ma'am Cosmiano? Okay, so ako na lang basahon ang mga remaining question. This
Nawa man
refers
ka
to the
slides.
structure of this refers to the structure for citing references. Again, this refers to the structure for citing references. Okay, nagulat mi sa answer. Murag wala pa yung nag-move diri sa ako. Okay, again, this refers to the
Answer,
structure
ma'am.
for citing references. Not the answer.
Na-correct si Rachel Kagabkab. Style manual.
Okay.
Style manual from Ma'am Rachel Kagabkab.
Okay.
Is that the correct answer, Ma'am Ira?
Yes, ma'am. Style manual.
Okay, so Ma'am Rachel got the correct answer. Okay.
Okay,
Congrats,
last
ma'am.
question.
Okay,
This
last
reference is cited in a brief format within the body to the text. This reference is cited in a brief format within the body to the text.
Okay, ma'am. Their answers, ma'am, are a bibliography. Bibliography, ma'am. Their
Okay, the
answers.
correct answer is within text. reference. Okay, ang ako nakita dire kay si Ma'am Jessa
Ah,
Soterania, tama? Parehata, ma'am?
Soteranya.
Okay, Ma'am Jessa
Yes,
Soterania.
ma'am.
Congratulations, no, sa
Thank
tanan nakadaog.
you.
And pwede may mangayo later sa inyong GCash number para masend na mo after our webinar. So,
Okay.
congratulations. And
Thank
again,
you so
salamat,
much.
Ma'am Stella, for sharing your expertise in our webinar. I know you are sa sugod nagduha-duha. Kag dawat sa akong kuan
Invitation.
invitation, but still no, so lakas gid ta sa kay Ma'am Stella kay gisugot siya po siya. Okay, so Ma'am Irene,
Okay, now let's move on to the awarding of certificate. Sige. Ato sa i-present kadali, Ma'am Ira.
okay, si Ma'am Leo Lalien, apa pa si Ma'am Leo? Na left si Ma'am Leo. Okay, wait lang. So,
Okay, so while waiting, no, ang atong attendance is available sa atong GC. Pwede na mo mag-attendance.
Ay, sorry, nawala ko.
Okay. Sige, okay na, ma'am.
Ma'am Ray, sa
Let's
ko
move
ay
to
na
the
ma'am,
awarding of certificate na,
awarding.
ma'am.
Okay. Nag-brown out diri sa amwa, Abi Maria. Awarding. Okay.
Next slide, please, ma'am. All right. So, as token of our appreciation to our guest speaker, let me read to you the text. Certificate of Commendation is awarded to Stella Maris A. Laurencio for sharing her expertise and invaluable knowledge as resource speaker during the one-day virtual seminar entitled Research Blueprint Episode 2, Optimizing Knowledge in Review of Related Literature, given this 18th day of March 2023 at Northeastern Mindanao State University, Main Campus, Tandag City, Philippines. Signed, Princess Alive Baguod Handugan, MBA. Signed, Dr. Evelyn T. Baguod, Dean of Graduate Studies.
For everyone. Thank you so
Another
much.
certificate of recognition is awarded to facilitator of this webinar for sharing his or her expertise as facilitator during the one-day virtual seminar entitled Research Blueprint Episode 2, Optimizing Knowledge in Review of Related Literature, given this 18th day of March 2023 at Northeastern Mindanao State University, Main Campus, Tandag City, Philippines. Signed, Princess Olive T. Baguod Handugan, MBA. Signed, Evelyn T. Baguod, Dean of Graduate Studies. Another certificate of participation is awarded to participants of this webinar for having actively participated during the one-day virtual seminars entitled Research Blueprint Episode 2, Optimizing Knowledge and Review of Related Literature, given this 18th day of March 2023 at Northeastern Mindanao State University, Main Campus, Tandag City, Philippines. Signed, Princess Olive T. Baguod Handugan. Signed, Dr. Evelyn T. Baguod, Dean of Graduate Studies. All right. Thank you very much. So this time, yes, Ma'am Ira.
Impression mo na,
Yes,
Ma'am.
ma'am.
Na
We will
yes.
give a message of, let's hear a message of impression, no, from one of our facilitators. Um, Let's hear it from Miss Cherry Ann Orosio.
Once again, a very insightful night to all of us, especially to our speaker. So, my task again is to give my impression. So, as a facilitator, it's a new experience and a privilege to conduct a webinar like this. And to our speaker, Ma'am Laurencio, thank you, Ma'am, for a very knowledgeable and clear discussion. So, daghan mi natun-an sa imo ha, Ma'am. And to the organizer, facilitator, congratulations to us. In spite of our busy schedule, we're still able to extend our time and effort just to finish the task that is given to us. And we manage the program efficiently and we attain our objectives. Overall, it is a successful activity indeed. Thank you and God bless us all.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Cherry Ann Orosio. Now let's hear another message of impression from one of our participants, Ma'am Majel Gendulman. Hello, Ma'am.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, Ma'am. Ngayong gabi eh.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good evening po tanan. First of all, I would like to congratulate Group 2 for having this webinar successfully. It started from the start to the end, it went smoothly, and then we learned a lot from this session. And also, thank you, Mom Ste, for sharing your knowledge to us. It's very fruitful, and you make making related literature easy. Basta yun, Mom Ste. Thank you for that, and for all the participants, thank you for joining, and congratulations to all of us. And good evening.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Majel, for your message. And now to formally close this program, Ma'am Elvi Sinabre will give us a message.
Mm. Okay, a pleasant evening to everyone. In behalf of my group, the amazing group, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who made this virtual seminar successful, especially to our respected guest, Ma'am Stella Maris A. Laurencio. Ma'am, thank you for sharing to us her valuable knowledge that gave remark and lighten our way as we move forward to this very challenging and very groundbreaking world of research. To our ever supportive research instructor, Ma'am Princess Aliv Tibagod Handugan, Ma'am. To our beloved Dean of Graduate Studies, Ma'am Evelyn Tibaguod, thank you so much. To our dear classmates, thank you for giving us your time in participating in this event. We do hope that this virtual seminar marks on our life as we go along with our journey that we choose today. To my fellow group, you are all amazing. My big salute to everyone who work hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder to make this event fruitful and successful. Thank you once again. Good evening.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Elvi. So that's the end of our virtual seminar. Once again, we would like to thank everyone who spared their time attending this virtual seminar. Our gratitude to our speaker, Ma'am Stella Maris A. Laurencio, to our professor, Miss Princess Aliv Tandugan, and to our classmates and to all the guests who have attended this tonight's seminar. Of course, we couldn't have done this successfully without your presence and cooperation. Once again, thank you and good evening.
Okay, thank you everyone. So, Ma'am Alib, may message ka po. Mga reminders for the next session.
Okay, so reminders for the next sessions. Group 3 will be the facilitator for next week's activity. No? Group 3, sila ni Leo. I hope you are ready na for your activity next week. As I can remember, ang schedule ba ninyo is Sunday?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Sunday po ang ating schedule for the next week activity. 8 to 9, ay, 8 o'clock
One,
a.m. or is
yes
it
po.
8 o'clock?
Ma'am, gi-reschedule namo ng 1 to 5 p.m. ang sa
1 to
amoa ma'am kay para maka-join ang kadaghanan kay kung morning basig may magsimba para
Ah,
makasimba ang uban ma'am.
okay. So, i-reschedule na ko ang ako makeup class na gi-submit. Okay, so that's all. Ma'am Stella, thank you for sharing your time and knowledge to us. And the facilitators, congratulations. And good evening to everyone for the participants. That's all for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am
Thank
Princess.
you,
And
everyone.
okay, so I would like to end this. Thank you for participating. And akong ka-groupmates, pwede ta magpabilin kadali. Ma'am Stella, thank you again. And sa akong ko-teacher nga na-observe, thank you. Ang gabi eh.
All right, we will end this program with a closing prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory
All right. Thank you sa
Okay.
tanan.
Thank you. Okay, you may leave the platform. Thank you. Ka-groupmates, abilin sa takadali for our